Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, or good afternoon, or good evening. Welcome back to the channel. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. So for today's video, we will be doing the Social Studies Paper 1 2020. So this is last year's May-June 2020 Paper 1 for Social Studies. All right, so we'll be going through quickly. I'm going to do from questions 1 to 31 in this video, then there will be a part 2 where we do from 32 all the way to 60. All right. In which of the following family types are cultural traditions passed from older members to children more easily? A, nuclear, B, extended, C, single parent, D, sibling controlled. The answer is B, extended, because extended family is the only family here that contains grandparents, and grandparents are the main agents of culture. Transferring culture, that's usually left up to the grandparents. Number 2 says, Maxine Lewis lives with her unmarried mother and father. The type of union between her parents can be best described as A, friendly, B, unlawful, C, common law, or D, compassionate. Once they are unmarried, then it simply means that it is C, common law. So if that is your answer, you are doing very good so far. Number 3 now says, which of the following statements best describes a conjugal family? Once you see the word conjugal, it is referring to being married. So is it A, one or both parents may be absent from the home? B, offspring have become adults and have left home? C, family relationships are developed through marriage? Or D, family relationships are developed through bloodlines? So conjugal always refer to marriage. So the answer is C, family relationships are developed through marriage. Number 4 now says, which of the following family functions are parents performing when they insist that children show respect for the property of others? Is it A, economic, B, emotional, C, procreation, or D, socialization? The answer for number 4 is D, socialization, right? Showing respect for property. Remember that socialization teaches family members how to function in society, how to be good, productive citizens. So showing respect for the property of others will help you to function in society. So that's a part of the whole socialization process. All right, number 5 says, John, Simon, and Harry are cousins who live in the same house. Which of the following term best describes their relationship? Remember that they are cousins. So is it A, pairs, B, siblings, C, relatives, D, contemporaries? The answer is C, they are relatives. It can't be B because they are cousins. They are not brothers and sisters, they are cousins. So it's not siblings. It can't be A, which is pairs either, because there's some family relationship. So it has to be C for number 5, relatives. Number 6 now says, in the Caribbean today, fathers have accepted more responsibility for child rearing, mainly because of A, early death of mothers, B, increase in the divorce rate, C, high employment rate of fathers, or D, increase in the number of working mothers. This one is pretty easy. Fathers have to accept more responsibility for child rearing because D, there is a great increase in the number of working mothers. All right, very good. Let's move on to number 7 now. Number 7 says, research suggests that young people are influenced to use illegal drugs mainly because of A, frustration, B, peer pressure, C, the generation gap, or D, dropping out of school. Remember, you are going to select the most appropriate answer. Whenever you get questions where the answers are pretty close like this one, because it could be out of frustration that they use drugs, it could be peer pressure, and it could be they drop out of school and they just turn to a life of drugs. But we must use the process of elimination and select the most appropriate answer. Can't be the generation gap. That's a different use held by, well, it could be that children believe that taking illegal drugs is okay. So it could be referring to generation gap too, but we're selecting the most appropriate one. So it's not that frustration, some people might do it, but the main reason for children engaging with illegal drugs is peer pressure. because they see their friends do it, then they are influenced to also do it. So the most appropriate answer for number 7 is, the most appropriate answer for number 7 is B, peer pressure. All right. Number 8, which of the following developments is most likely to result in conflict in a traditional family? Is it A, females accepting employment, B, children receiving tertiary education, or is it C, changes in the role of men and women in the family, or is it D, the desire of parents to provide for the needs of their family? Again, question says, which of the following development is most likely to result in conflict in a traditional family? So the answer for number 8 is C, changing in the roles of men and women. That might cause a lot of problem because women might be going out to work now and men don't want to help with domestic duties, or men don't want to work anymore. Men don't want to stand up to their responsibilities as fathers, as a husband, as a provider. So that might also cause a problem as well. Or, you know, that females accepting employment is close because traditionally women wouldn't normally go out and work, women will stay home. But because it says most likely, the change in roles in men and women is greater than just the change in role of the female alone. Understand? Because females accepting employment is a changed role. So because C encompasses both the men and the women changing in the traditional family, I would go with C as the most appropriate answer. Sorry about that. Number 9, which of the following is most likely to undermine the authority of parents in the home? A, setting and enforcing clear rules for conduct. B, inconsistency in rewarding and punishing children. C, giving cash allowances to adolescent family members. Or D, allowing children to participate in family decision making. Most appropriate answer there is B for number 9, inconsistency in rewarding and punishing children. Because if you punish today for one thing, tomorrow you don't punish, the children are going to believe that you're not serious as a parent, and that might cause a major problem. Number 10, the type of care associated with the elderly is described as A, geriatric, B, old folks, C, pediatric, or D, senior cents. Answer for number 10 is A, geriatric. That's care for old people, or senior citizens, I should say. Number 11 now says, Caribbean governments have improved the rights of children born out of wedlock by A, building more foster homes for abandoned children, providing incentives for their parents to get married, C, passing laws to allow them to qualify for inheritance, or D, passing laws to control sexual relations outside of marriage. Answer is C. Back in the day, especially in Jamaica, before this law was passed, illegitimate children were children born out of wedlock. They weren't seen as being legitimate, so they were not entitled to anything from their fathers, right? So therefore, a law was passed to include them in any inheritance. Number 12, identify the order in which the ancestors of the Caribbean people arrived in the region. So the order in which the ancestors of Caribbean people arrived in the region was the Amerindians. They were here first, right? Then the Europeans came. Then the Europeans brought the Africans after the Amerindians died out. And then when the Africans were emancipated, East Indians came. So it's supposed to be 1, 3, 4, and 2. 1, 3, 4, and 2. So the answer for number 12 is A. Very good. Number 13 now says, which of the following are characteristics of a formal group? 1, code of conduct. 2, specific objectives. Or 3, membership requirements. Which are the following are characteristics of a formal group? Answer for 13 is D, all of the above. Formal groups have code of conduct, there are specific objectives, and there are requirements to become a member. An example of a formal group is a school. All right. Number 14, which of the following characteristics will ensure the survival of a group? Is it A, solving problems as a group, B, group members dressing alike, C, leader controlling group members, or D, individuals being independent in the group. Which are the following? Number 14, the answer is A. Solving problems as a group will ensure that the group survives for a long period of time. Number 15, which of the following best characterizes a primary group? A, a large number, B, infrequent interaction, C, face-to-face interaction, or D, a common name or title. Answer for number 15, what best characterizes a primary group is C, face-to-face interaction. Because a primary group is small, face-to-face interaction is constant, so there is high levels of intimacy in those groups. Number 16, which of the following are examples of folkways? Is it a man opening a door for a woman, holding a wake after the death of a person, or a bride wearing a white dress to her wedding? For number 16, all of them are examples of folkways. A man opening a door for a woman, that's a tradition in many countries. Holding a wake, that's a tradition in many countries. A bride wearing a white dress, that's a tradition in many countries. All right. Number 17 to 18 refer to the following dialogue. Sita, when Marvin was group leader, he was always ordering us about. Paul, I prefer a group leader who allows members to do as they please. So 2 persons in a group, and the 2 of them are saying that they prefer different style of leadership. So number 17 there now says, the leadership style of Marvin, as described in the dialogue above, is A, autocratic, B, democratic, C, characteristic, or D, charismatic, or D, laissez-faire. So the answer for number 17 is A. Marvin's leadership style is autocratic, meaning he not take no talk from nobody. He might the one done. He makes all decisions on his own without consulting people, and the decision stands whether they like it or not. Number 18 now says, Paul's statement indicates that he prefers a leader with a style that is A, autocratic, B, democratic, C, charismatic, or D, laissez-faire. So the answer for number 18 is D, laissez-faire, because Paul prefers a leader who allows people to do as they please. Not a good leadership style, by the way. Number 19, adolescents are most likely to influence each other in a positive way when they A, force each other to accept the same values, B, become involved in guidance and counseling activities, or C, encourage each other to always challenge adults' views, or D, advise each other on how to carry out antisocial activities. So the only one there that is positive is B, become involved in guidance and counseling activities. Everything else there, C and D, those are negative. And A, you can't force people to do things. Though accepting the same values might be the same, might be a good thing, well, if they are good values, but you can't force people to do so. All right, 20 says, which of the following would not usually be associated with educational institutions? So 3 of them are associated with educational institutions. 1 is not. So you need to find 1 that is not associated with educational institutions. A, rules and regulations. B, customs and traditions. C, transmission of culture. Or D, suppression of freedom. Answer for number 20 is D, suppression of freedom. That's not associated with educational institutions. 21, which of the following is not a role of trade unions? A, collective bargaining for workers' welfare. B, reporting negligent workers to management. C, monitoring the safety of workers at the workplace. Or D, educating workers about their rights on the job. So the trade union does 3 and doesn't do 1. So you need to find the one that trade union doesn't do. And the one that the trade union is not responsible for doing here is B, reporting negligent workers to management, because the trade union doesn't report to the business or represents the interest of the business, but the trade union represents the interest of the workers. 22, which of the following countries is proportional representation used to elect government? You have to know what proportional representation is, and the countries in the Caribbean that uses this system in order to get this answer. So is it A, Guyana, B, Barbados, C, Dominica, D, St. Vincent and the Grenadines? Answer for number 22 is A, Guyana uses proportional representation system as an electoral system. Number 23, which of the following documents do political parties in the Caribbean usually use to inform the public about their policies, promises, and programs? Is it A, Ansard, B, manifesto, C, policy statements, D, conference papers? Answer is B, manifesto. If you don't know what that is, it's a document that contains all the promises, plans, and projects of the political party if they were to form the next government after the election. 24, the political party which forms the government in the first past the post system is the party that wins the most A, seats, B, votes, C, candidates, or D, supporters. It's A. 24 is A. First past the post is the most seats. Proportional representation now is the most votes. But we'll get into that another time. You can check out my channel for a video on government, and you'll see me explaining the electoral systems. First past the post and proportional representation. Number 25, Caribbean countries where the Queen of England is the head of state may be described as A, presidential republics, B, benevolent dictatorships, C, constitutional monarchies, or D, constitutional democracies. Countries where England, the Queen of England is the head of state, are considered to be C, constitutional monarchies. 26, in the English-speaking Caribbean, the first court of hearing for criminal offenses is usually A, Court of Appeal, B, Coroner's Court, C, Courts of Assizes, or D, Magistrates Court. First court to hear criminal offenses in the English-speaking Caribbean is D, Magistrates Courts. Number 27, the main function of a prosecutor in the judicial system is to A, issue a summons to a witness, B, provide counsel for the defendant, C, present arguments against the defendant, or D, determine the verdict of the end of the trial. It's the judge or the jury that determines the verdict. So that is out. Issue a summons to witness, that's also out. So provides counsel for the defendant. So a prosecutor, just look, prosecutor comes from the word prosecute. So the answer is going to be C, present arguments against the defendant. Number 28 says, which of the following are items of expenditure for a government? And expenditure there means expense. So which one is an expense for the government? Is it 1, salaries for civil servants, 2, old age pensions, or 3, customs duty? So it's salaries and old age pensions because the government pays that out to people. Customs duty is what is collected for the government. So the answer is A for 28. So 28 is A. All right, let's look now to 29. A national budget has a deficit when expenditure deficit meaning a negative. When expenditure is A, equal to revenue, B, less than revenue, C, greater than revenue, or D, sufficient to the finance development. So deficit, less than, and expenditure. Sorry, is the expenses. So the answer for 29 is C, where expenditure is greater than revenue. So the expenses are greater than the money that the government has. Number 30 now says, which of the following is not included in the written constitution of a country? A, methods of taxation, B, responsibilities of citizens, C, powers and functions of officers of the state, or D, powers and responsibilities of parliament. So 3 there are written in the constitution. 1 is that. The one that is not written in the constitution is methods of taxation. The government is at liberty to use whatever method they want, as long as it doesn't go against the constitution, whatever method they want. As we can see, every year, sometimes some governments introduces new methods of taxation and put tax on different kinds of things. Number 31 now, the final question for this video. Remember, 32 to 60 will be done in a part 2, so look out for that video. All right, item 31 refers to the following table, which shows the population figures of 4 countries. So country 1, area kilometers, 750 kilometers square, population 70,000. Country 2, 100 kilometers square area, 150,000 in the population. Country 3, 300 kilometers square area and 100,000 persons in the population. Country 4, 250,000 kilometers square and 150,000 in the population. All right, so 31 now says, which country has the highest population density? Area divided by population gives you the population density. So the country that has the highest population density is B. Country 2, 100 kilometer square area and 150,000 persons in the population. So more than likely that area is going to be overpopulated. All right. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And go over to my other channel, Core Fences. Subscribe and watch some video. Thank you and have a good time studying and working hard to get the grade 1 in social studies.